Hi, I'm Amy Romeo of Amy Romeo Crafts, and in this video I'll be showing you how to make these really pretty and personalized initial bookmarks using faux leather, heat transfer vinyl, and a Cricut. If you're ready to learn how to make this project, let's go ahead and dive right in. The SVG file for this project is available in my shop. It's part of my holiday faux leather crafting event where I'm sharing a brand new holiday SVG and video tutorial every day for 20 days. I'll leave a link on the screen for you so you can get the SVG, or you can visit amyromeo.com/holiday to see all of the event's designs. Let's go over the tools and materials we'll be using to make these holiday initial bookmarks. I'll be using the Cricut Maker today, but you could use either of the Explorer machines, the Explorer Air 2, the Explorer 3, or either of the Cricut Joy machines, because we'll be cutting our faux leather with the standard fine point blade that's included on all of those Cricut machines. So these initial bookmarks will have a faux leather base, and then we'll have a vinyl layer on top. I'll be using heat transfer vinyl, but you could also use permanent vinyl if that's what you wanted to use. Two of the designs I'll be showing you will have a solid color faux leather on the bottom, and then I'll have a third design for you that you can use with any kind of printed faux leather or patterned, and then we'll add our initial decoration on top, again with vinyl. So to apply the heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather, I'll be using my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting, which is that first green line. You could also use a traditional Easy Press set to 265 degrees. I'll have a heat pressing pad to protect my surface, and this is a small cover sheet. This is a Teflon sheet that I've trimmed down to size. You could also use butcher paper or parchment paper. To cut the faux leather, I'll be using the purple Strong Grip mat. And for the vinyl, I'll use the green standard grip cutting mat. If you're using either of the Cricut Joy machines, you can use the green Joy size mats, and this project will work the same. So I'll also be putting some foil iron-on the back of the faux leather, and that's because since this is a bookmark, we don't want it to be too thick, but the back of faux leather is often unattractive, so we'll add some foil to the back to make the back look more finished, professional, and also add some structure. Some other tools we'll be using. I'll be using some blue painter's tape to tape my faux leather down to the mat. That'll help me get a good cut. I'll be using a weeding tool. You could use a pin pen style or a hook. And then I'll be using some craft scissors. And I always like to have these small curved scissors on hand. These are great for trimming up any little edges of the faux leather that might have fuzzies on them. We'll also be using some bookmark tassels. I got these on Amazon, and I'll leave links to all of these materials for you. These are on Amazon, and they come in an assortment of colors, and this will add a little bit of fun and a tassel at the top of the bookmark. So let's hop into Design Space, and I'll show you how to personalize these designs with an initial, and we'll cut out and make our bookmarks. So starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload, and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG files are for this project. So there are two. One has the bookmark designs and one has the initials. So I'm going to click on them one at a time to bring them into my canvas. There we see a preview of the three bookmarks. So I'll click Upload. And here they are in my recent uploads row. I'm just going to go back and grab those initials. Okay, great. So now we have both our bookmarks and our initials on our canvas. I'm going to click on the bookmarks, hold the Shift key down on my keyboard, also click on the letters, and this will bring them both into my canvas at the same time. If you don't want to do that, you can bring them in one at a time at your convenience. Let me go ahead and click the Add to Canvas button. Okay, great. And now we see our initials and our three bookmarks. So let me click on the initials and move them over to the side for a moment. And let me talk about these three designs. So all three of them have a faux leather base as the bottom layer. There's a green layer, a pink layer, and a light blue layer. Of course, you can use whatever color faux leather you'd like for this bottom layer. Then we have a heat transfer vinyl layer on top. So the white snowflakes and this little circle, that's all connected, and that will cut from one color of heat transfer vinyl. I'll be using white. The candy stripe one has the pink faux leather at the bottom, one layer of red stripes, and then one layer of white striped heat transfer vinyl. We'll cut that as well. And then this is the one that I mentioned if you wanted to use a patterned faux leather, but you still wanted to have the circle and the initial letter inside, then you can use this one. So let me click on Ungroup so I can show you how to add an initial to the bookmark designs. So I've ungrouped the 3 designs together so I can manipulate them individually. And I'll just grab a letter. Let me go ahead and ungroup the letters as well. Now these letters are not a font, so they are really SVG. So think of them more as an image that you're able to add to your design without having to worry about it being a font or installing a font on your device. However, if you wanted to use your own font or a different letter style, you can absolutely click on the text tool, write your own text, and follow the same steps I'm going to show you now using these ready-made SVG letters. So the letter is black, but it doesn't have to stay black or cut from black. What I'm going to do is just drag it over here into my little circle, and I'm going to drag the shape so that it's a shape that I want it to be inside of the circle. The letters are all different sizes, so if we were using the W, for example, the W is going to fill up most of that circle the way it is. But if you have a letter that doesn't fill up most of the circle, you might want to adjust that size a little bit. So let me go ahead and change the color. I'll make it white. This will allow me to cut everything on this layer from the same color heat transfer vinyl. However, if you wanted your letter to be another color vinyl, you could do that as well. So now that I have my letter A sized the way I want it to, I'm going to select all 3 layers of the design. So the faux leather layer, the snowflake layer, and the letter layer. And I want to make sure that my letter A is centered. So I'm going to center horizontally, and that's going to make sure that my letter is centered inside the circle. Now what I want to do is select that A and also select the white snowflake layer. And I want to group them together. So I'm going to click down here on Combine, and I'm going to say Weld. And that's going to put all of those shapes together, and that way when the A cuts out, I won't have to worry about where to place it. It'll be in the exact location I want it to be. So the same is true of the candy stripe design. If you wanted to also cut this W from white, you can recolor it, then select all of the layers in this bookmark design, click on Align, center horizontally, and then you would do the same thing where you select the letter and you select the white layer, combine, and then weld. And then you can see again, all those layers will cut together. For this one, you would just be cutting the bookmark from regular faux leather. So again, we'll drag our letter, make it bigger. I'll make it white. Select everything, center horizontally, and then we only want to do our initial and this little circle here. Combine and weld. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is delete all of these shapes off of my canvas, all of the letters. So now I'm left with only the faux leather bottom layers and the vinyl top layers. I'll click the Make It button. We're cutting our materials on a mat. And Design Space will separate out all of our materials based on color. So the first thing we want to do is go through and click Mirror for each of these layers. And that's because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. So the next thing I want to do is just go through each mat and drag my vinyl shapes that are going to cut apart a little bit, just to space them out and give me a little bit of border when I'm cutting them away from each other and the clear cover sheet. And then I'm going to drag my faux leather shapes just a little bit away from the edges of the mat because we will be applying some blue painter's tape, and that gives us some room for the tape. Finally, I'm going to look at my faux leather mats and see what size faux leather I need to put onto the mat so the bookmark shape will cut out completely. It looks like it's about 3 inches wide and 7 inches tall. So I always like to be on a faux leather mat before I click continue because I like to cut those first. And the material setting I use for faux leather, again on any of the current Cricut machines, is the faux leather paper thin setting, and I like to use more pressure. If you don't have this setting available here or bookmarked as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you're using the Explore Air 2, you'll need to turn your dial to custom before you will find this setting. Then for the vinyl layers, you will cut them according to the manufacturer's suggested cut for that type of material. I'll be cutting this white from just regular heat transfer vinyl, so I'll use the vinyl setting. And I think for the red layer, I will cut it from glitter heat transfer vinyl, so I will use the glitter vinyl setting with default pressure. And because I'm using Caesar glitter, which is a little thicker, I will repeat the cut for this one time. So let's hop back over to my overhead camera and we'll start to cut out all of our mats, and then I'll show you how to assemble our bookmarks. So before we cut our faux leather for the bookmark, we want to put that heat transfer vinyl on the back. Remember, I said that helps the back look more finished and professional, and it also adds some structure without making the bookmark too bulky. So I've trimmed my faux leather down to that size I saw in the matte preview screen, and then I've trimmed a piece of heat transfer vinyl. I'm using foil iron-on in this case. I've trimmed a piece just slightly smaller than the faux leather. We don't want this iron-on to overlap the edges of the faux leather when we press, because then we would press this to our heat pressing pad, which we don't want. So I've got my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting. I have my little cover sheet here, and I'm going to place the back of the faux leather up against the back of the foil iron-on. I'll place this faux leather pretty side down, and I'm going to cover, and I want to press all over the back of this for 10 seconds on each area. So take your time with this and make sure that you get even heat and pressure all the way down as we apply the foil iron-on to the back of the faux leather for the bookmark. So once I've pressed all over, I want to keep the faux leather as flat as possible, and I'm going to lift up the corner of the clear cover sheet and I'll start to peel back to reveal that foil. Now as you do this, if your foil lifts up, then you just place your cover sheet right back down and continue pressing for a few more seconds. And the reason I'm keeping the faux leather flat is so that we don't get wrinkles in the foil. So that looks good, but I do like to press just one more time now that that thick, clear cover sheet is removed. So I will recover and press all over for about 4 to 5 seconds until the whole back of the bookmark is covered. Generally, if you can start to see the texture of the faux leather coming through on the foil, that's an indication that the heat transfer vinyl is really well adhered to the back of the faux leather. And the reason why this is so important is because the Cricut blade is going to cut through on this side, and if there are any bubbles or any areas of the iron-on that are not really well adhered, the blade will tear them as it cuts through, and we don't want that. So we have our bookmark ready to go, faux leather on the front and foil iron-on on the back. So let's go ahead and put this down on the mat, and I'm using that purple strong grip mat. I'm going to place this pretty side down in the top corner, just the way it is in the matte preview screen. And then I'm going to use some blue painter's tape, and I'm going to tape this down on all sides. Now I saved my blue painter's tape from cutting faux leather, so I have a lot of saved pieces I'm going to reuse. That's something I love about using blue painter's tape. I can use it 4 or 5 times before I need to throw it away. And the reason we use blue painter's tape is because masking tape can leave some sticky residue on your mat or on the material. So we already have the faux leather paper thin setting with more pressure ready to go. So we'll just go ahead and load the mat and begin the cut. So the cut has run all the way through, and we want to check the cut before we unload the mat, and that's because we can always repeat the cut to get a deeper cut if needed. So I'm using my sharp weeding tool. I like to use the hook for this, and I'm just going to get underneath the edge of the cut bookmark and see if that cut went all the way through. It's a little hard to see with the shine there on the camera, but as I'm lifting up the corner is coming up cleanly. If not, I can just press the cut button again and repeat the cut, and I can do that as many times as necessary, as long as I haven't unloaded the mat. If you're using the Cricut Joy, the option to rerun the cut will be on your screen in Cricut Design Space. But this cut looks good, so I will remove my mat. And again, I want to try not to wrinkle that foil too much, so I'm going to peel the mat away from the faux leather. We've got our little bookmark hole there. I'm just going to punch that through. And it seems like that hole is a tiny bit stuck, so I will use my curved scissors just to trim that off. There we go. And you can see that there is a little bit of rippling on the edges where the blade went through all around the bookmark. So we're just going to press those out quickly. Again, with the Easy Press Mini set to low, I'll cover this and just press out those ridges. There we go. So now that the faux leather bookmark is cut out, I'm going to return to Design Space. I'm going to cut out the other two faux leather mats, and then I'll cut out all the vinyl mats. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to press the various vinyl layers onto the bookmarks, and then I'll show you how to attach the tassels and finish this great project. So I finished cutting all of the faux leather bookmark shapes, and I finished cutting and weeding all of the vinyl layers. So see how with connecting the letter with all the other shapes, it was really easy just to cut this together and then weed out all of the little snowflake shapes. So I've already gone ahead also and gone through my little bookmark tassel bag. I'll link to this for you. This is from Amazon, and I've chosen my little colors for my 3 bookmarks. So we'll go ahead. I've got my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting, and I have my little Teflon sheet. All I'm going to do is line up the edges of the snowflake design, and they'll line up perfectly with the edges of the faux leather keychain shape, and then you'll know you're all set. Just take a minute if you need to. Peel it back up, start again. All those edges are going to line up. Here we go, just like that. And again, I'll cover and press. I'm trying to get about 10 seconds of coverage all over, all the way down the bookmark. So once I've heat pressed everything evenly, I'm going to keep the faux leather bookmark flat and just peel back that clear carrier sheet. Remember, if the vinyl lifts, you want to do this slowly so that you can just put the cover sheet right back down and press again. But this looks good. We'll just keep peeling. And that came out great. So this faux leather bookmark is warm, so we want to place it flat on our work surface, and I'm just going to put it underneath my heat pressing pad. In about a minute, it'll be nice and cool, and it will be flat. So let me show you how to do this one. So this one doesn't have any sort of markers at the edges. The vinyl doesn't touch the edge for us to know exactly where to place it. But what I'm going to do, since this is a perfect circle, I'm going to fold it in half. I'm not folding the vinyl, I'm only pinching and folding the top part. And what that does is it gives me a little bit of a line here, so I can line this up better on the bookmark so that it's symmetrical. See how that works? And then if we had another one that you had already done, let me get this one. You could try and get it so that it's in the same place on the bookmark from top to bottom, but it's not that big of a deal. And then I'm just using those little fold lines as markers to show me how to line this up with the hole at the top. Now this one, it's just a circle. You could put it at the bottom, you could put it at the middle. It's really up to you. And we'll just peel. And I think this is a really easy way to take a fun, festive print faux leather and add some personalization to it. I think these will be great gifts for the holidays. We'll let that one cool flat. And then let's do this last one, the candy stripe. So this one has 2 layers. We're going to do the red glitter layer first, and then we'll put that white layer on top. So again, we're just going to match up the edges of the design. There we go. And again, we'll press, aiming for 10 seconds of heat and pressure all over the bookmark. So again, we want to keep that faux leather piece flat on our surface and then just peel back that clear cover sheet. There we go. And then we'll place the top layer. Again, you're matching up those edges. And that's what it'll look like. And then we'll just peel back the cover sheet again. There we go. And then if you have any of the little pieces of vinyl that have sort of extended over the edge of the bookmark, you can just trim those with some small scissors. I'll let that one cool. I'll show you how to put a tassel on this one, and the other ones will be just the same. So you'll take the loop of your bookmark tassel and just thread it through the hole, and then thread the tassel through that loop. And that's it. And here's what all 3 of the bookmarks look like together. I hope you like this project, and if you want to see the other great projects I've been creating and sharing in my holiday faux leather crafting event, I'll leave a link for you so you can check out all of the videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.